DTNS. This is DTNS Live for Wednesday, February 12th, 2025. From Studio Animal House, I'm Sarah Lane.
Right here in Los Angeles, California, I'm Tom Merritt.
In very cold, very snowy Salt Lake City, I'm Scott Johnson.
And also in California, I'm the show's producer, Roger Chang.
Daily Tech News Show Live is made possible by you with your eyeballs on me right now on the YouTube or the Twitch or however you're watching it. Big thanks to you, D. Laser, Brad, Kevin Morgan, and brand new patrons, Ian, Matt, and David.
Hey! Woo-hoo! Welcome to DTNS Live. This is the show where we discuss the tech news so we all understand it a little better together. Scott, you making snow angels after the show today?
Probably not. It's a kind of crusty, way too cold snow, so none of it's fun. You can't make anything out of it. It's hard to scrape off surfaces. It's just like, we waited a long time this winter for a real snow, and it's like the worst kind. So, not happy
Sounds
about
great.
it. No, it's not. It's
Hard,
terrible.
crunchy snow. At least you could
Sounds
make,
like-
you could make some, I don't know, some shave ice.
You know what? I could get on there on my back, do the snow angel thing, but it would look like, I feel like it'd be like a chalk outline from like an investigation or something. Somebody would think there was a body there. So,
You could do a real crime podcast
Cut yourself up.
on Frog
Oh,
Pants.
man.
yeah, that's right. I don't have any true crime podcasts. You know what, Roger? Good idea. I'm running with it.
Yeah. You heard it here. Never, police.
Yeah, it never happened.
It's sort of sprinkly and misty here in LA. It's not really raining, but
Oh, we've had rain over here
Really?
on this side
Gosh,
of LA.
It's. I'm constantly reminded that you and I live in different cities, although still
It's like we live in
technically the same city.
different states sometimes. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Put some
it's good
mountains
stuff.
between us.
Yeah, well, the Amazon Echo gave me a extreme weather warning this morning, and I was like, really?
Oh, my.
So, maybe
Yeah,
it'll
we
hit
have a
me later.
flood watch for 1
Yeah,
p.m.
that's what it was, flood watch.
tomorrow. It's just a watch, and it's not till tomorrow.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, then all
For
of
us.
It's not even a smartwatch.
You might be in a flood right now. I have no idea.
Yeah.
I haven't been outside in a while. You never know. All right. Well, weather updates out of the way. Let's get into some tech updates.
OpenAI's Sam Altman said Wednesday the company will integrate existing and yet to be released elements of its O3 model into a new offering packaged all together called GPT-5. Everybody's been waiting for it. GPT-5 will be available in different levels for ChatGPT users with unlimited access at the standard setting and enhanced capabilities for Plus and Pro subscribers. Altman also said that GPT 4.5 will be its last model that doesn't use chain of thought. So that is it for that.
R.W. Nash posted this one on our subreddit. Thank you for that. Apple published a support document that gives instructions on moving purchases from one account to another, including apps and books and music, TV shows, movies, stuff that you pay for. This applies to me because I have two Apple accounts and I've always sort of wondered, why did I do it this way? After the merge, the secondary account can't be used for purchases anymore. So you choose one and that's the one you have. The feature, although new, won't be available in the EU, the UK, or India.
Bruce Schneier and Davi Ottenheimer wrote an article in Foreign Policy about the activities of the U.S. Department of Government Efficiency. I encourage you to read the article. I trust Schneier on things. It's a good article. It's got lots of stuff, but here are the key takeaways. They're concerned that the standard safety measures may have been bypassed, and they worry that these systems might now be more vulnerable to foreign adversaries of the United States. So they recommend restoring proper security testing protocols, restoring system monitoring and change management, and then doing an audit. Check that all the changes made have not led to any vulnerabilities.
Bloomberg's Mark Gurman says that Apple still plans to announce a new iPhone SE. It might happen next week. There were rumors that it would happen as early as this week. He also wrote on X, for Friday, Apple Vision Pro reps are reaching out to press about an announcement to come. M4 MacBook Air within weeks. In things Apple did actually do, it announced an Android app for Apple TV Plus. That way you can watch stuff on a native Android app instead of having to use the web on an Android device. It's good on Android 10 and newer.
Hey, KV87, thanks for posting this on subreddit. A U.S. judge ruled that Ross Intelligence did not have a fair use defense for using data that they copied from Thomson Reuters' Westlaw database. Ross Intelligence had actually used data from legalese that contained things like headers from the Westlaw database, and they trained a machine learning algorithm, which then output opinions that were in many cases identical to those in Westlaw. This is different than large language models. Machine learning works differently from large language models. That's important to note because it may or may not be a useful decision in other cases.
Amazon has expanded its presence in Singapore with AWS's new Asia-Pacific headquarters. The Asia-Pacific Hub, as it's known, can accommodate up to 3,000 employees for more than 100 local and regional teams, and is part of Amazon's broader $8.8 billion investment in Singapore's cloud infrastructure through 2028. All right, Apple is beginning a 5-year health research study in cooperation with Brigham and Women's Hospital to see how device data can inform effects on your health, not just women, anybody, and look for connections between different areas of health, like the relationship between your sleep, your exercise levels, your mood, your heart rate. Participation is voluntary, and you have to go through the iOS research app, so you really have to want to participate. This is not something that is secretly going to be collected if you've got an iOS device or an Apple Watch kind of thing. But this is it's interesting. It's the first health study from Apple in 6 years, the first new study. I don't know. I think it was 2019. I had opted into a study when I first, no, it was before I got my Apple Watch, so it would have been iPhone only. Whatever was available at the time. Those are still ongoing. But some of that research and then data that was collected from a very large sample size. You know, a lot of research, you know, you're sampling maybe hundreds, maybe 1,000 people, but 420,000 participants have opted into ongoing Apple Heart movement studies, Apple Hearing study, which led to the hearing test on the AirPods, which you know is fairly new, but it took some years of research for Apple to say we're confident that this works well, and we know that there are enough people who this will be helpful for. So walking steadiness, another one that Apple has said, you know, we got enough data from folks who had participated that this is something that we can confidently say that is part of the product perks. So I don't know. What do we all think about this? I'm gonna participate. I don't really have a problem with Apple having data like this from me, but if I did, it's anonymized. I don't think they're lying about that.
Yeah, I participated in the cardiology one. I don't remember what it was called, but yeah, I contributed some of my my cardio data. I think it was like steps and heart rates and stuff like that. And again, I'm fine with that. I kind of took it as like, you know, if my heart rate data gets out there, I'm not terribly worried about it. However, I also trust that it won't. Apple is partnering with, you know, Mayo Clinic and stuff. This Brigham and Women's Hospital, if you're like, who are they? It's an affiliate of Harvard and a research hospital, a teaching hospital. So it's actually, you know, got a very good reputation. I'm not too worried about them mishandling the data. And I think we mentioned this before, but I think it's really interesting that people are willing to volunteer to do this to the tune of 420,000 participants so far in the 3 studies they've had, because you don't get paid for it. You're just doing it because you think it's the right thing to do.
Yeah, I like it too. I mean, the number one thing I like about it is the thing that I think all these sorts of things should be when it comes to tech companies wanting to use data or asking to use data, and that is that this is opt-in. Nobody's having to go find a setting somewhere and say turn this off before it goes live or whatever.
Right.
To me, that's key. Everything else just comes down to personal preference, whether you want to participate or not. I don't see any harm with giving them my steps data. They can have it or whatever it may be.
And you can stop sharing it anytime you want. Like
Right.
you can share just parts. You can say, I don't want you to have my sleep data. You can have my heart rate data though. Like you get control over that. It's really well done in that respect.
And the data, I would imagine, is a lot more precise because previous studies of a similar nature, maybe not the same scope, the participants would have to jot down the information into a notebook.
Yeah.
You know, like it removes a huge barrier for people who maybe like, oh, I forgot to put my entry for the number of steps I did today, or I forgot to measure my, you know what I mean? Like, it's all sort
or
of
it's
automatically
incorrect.
done.
They make a mistake and they give the research, some bad data.
It's also the kind of data.
I wear my Apple Watch all day, all night.
Yeah.
I mean, I when I'm sedentary, I have to charge it once a day, but this is, even though I like it for, I can see if it's raining outside. I know what time it is, but what I really want it to do is all of this stuff. That's what I want. I want it to be more powerful rather than less powerful for me.
Yeah. Also, the thing to remember there is, or with this or any other company doing this, there's two ways of doing this. There's, three ways. There's taking it all without your permission, or you signed some obscure EULA and gave it away and didn't know it.
That's the bad way.
That's the very bad way, the worst way. The second way is them saying, hey, we're going to be doing this. You need to opt out of it. To me, that's also bad, not nearly as bad, but it's bad. And then there's the third way, which is, hey, we're in this together. You want to do this, or you don't have to. You can if you want. I think that's all Apple can do, is that one way. They do anything else and they're in trouble because they've staked so much of their reputation as a company on personal privacy. And they do that in the face of competition, not so much prioritizing your privacy. I can hear, if you're conspiratorial that nobody's keeping anything you do private, cool, whatever. But hear me out. Of all of the providers, of all of the personal electronics, smartphone assistant people out there, Apple stakes their entire reputation on this. And I think it would be devastating if they breached that. It would be very bad. So it doesn't even give me pause, this particular program, because A, it fits with what they've already said and how they're going to handle the data. But B, I can get in or not. Like, I have the full choice to do what I want to do here. And as long as I have that, I feel like, I feel like the general public would be a lot more willing to opt into things. But we just keep getting tricked by stuff where we weren't told, or it was in the fine print, or some other weird way of roping us in, and we didn't know it, and that erodes trust. I feel like this doesn't do that, or they're like the only ones left that don't do that.
I was just trying to sign up for it, and they say it takes about 10 minutes. I had to sign the California data protection form. I had to sign another informed consent form. I had to sign a HIPAA form. Then I answered 3 questions. You are not eligible. So I can't even participate. Didn't tell me why.
They don't tell you why? That's interesting.
Nope.
Maybe it's because you previously participated and they're trying to.
I don't know. I share an iCloud account with my wife. They asked, do you share an iCloud account? And I said, yes. I don't know if that knocked me out, but yeah.
They found
a lot of informed consent.
A lot of K-pop fan stuff in there, and they were not happy about it. So.
Oh, yeah, right. Maybe they're EXO fans.
Are you a podcast host? Oh, disqualified.
You're out.
But no, I mean it's really good, and I'm hoping this will pave the way for not just Apple, but any sort of research that wants to use personal data from personal devices, where the data is at least managed, if not responsibly, but proactively, with the concerns of the participants in mind. Like one of the hardest things to do in research is to get reliable, data, because you need to find people to be willing to be part of it, and a diverse group of people, right? You can't have all this. You can't have a bunch of 20-somethings if you want to measure different a range of ages for cardiac conditions or anything like that. So. It's a positive step, I see.
Clinton points out that Google does this too, and they are just as privacy focused. So that's good to point out. It's not like Apple's the only one that does something like this.
I'm probably helping push that sound of that. That's not what I mean, and I would trust them with it too. But I guess that's my point. Is if they, what are the things to pay attention to here? Do they tell you that they're doing it, and telling you so that you will opt in? That's really it.
Yeah.
And if Google keeps doing that, Apple keeps doing, whoever keeps doing that, fine. If I can say no and it means no, and they don't take it,
yeah,
none of this is
isn't
and
new.
it's not even saying no. It's like you have to have the research.
You have to
app.
know where to go, download the
Yeah.
app, sign up. Like you have to take proactive behavior. And this has been going on for 6+ years. Apple's been doing this for 6 years. Google's been doing it for years. There are lots of other efforts like this. And you know why you don't hear about them? Because they actually protect your privacy. And that doesn't make a good tech meme headline. So, nobody wants to write up a 404 Media investigation of healthcare study protects data, no breaches. It's a very short story. So you just don't see it coming.
Well, next time you're in Las Vegas, you might be staying at the MGM Grand Casino, or I don't know, might be just walking through. Tom, where might you eat?
You might eat at Netflix Bites.
Whoa.
Get it? It's a restaurant themed around Netflix. And you bite food, so hence it's called Netflix Bites. It kind of goes along, I guess, with Netflix is a joke, which is their comedy marketing slogan. Netflix Bites, ha ha ha. It is in the MGM Grand Casino in Las Vegas, as Sarah mentioned, for a 1-year culinary residency. Which that's the new hot
it's
thing
an
is to call
experiment.
everything a residency. But yeah, they're going to have this restaurant for 1 year. I suppose if it went gangbusters, they could do it. They could extend it and do it longer, but they're only committing to doing a year. They did a pop-up restaurant for a few months in Los Angeles back in 2023. We talked about it on DTNS. In fact, Ryan was saying like, didn't Scott have opinions about this when you talked about it last time? So yeah, it's become a tradition when Netflix opens a restaurant to talk about it with Scott on the show. I thought it would be fun to go through the menu.
Heck yeah.
And see if there's anything that y'all would care to order. Anybody throw out a show you like. I bet they have got a menu item for it.
Well, can I get cookies branded on Squid Game, the kind you have to lick? You can't actually chew them. You got to lick until you get the shape right. Something like that.
No, but you can get a drink.
Okay.
The Pink Soldier puts Korean soju in the spotlight because it's a Korean show.
So
they
yeah.
use soju.
Lightly themed drinks.
And because the Squid Game guards are pink, they made it pink.
I see.
I don't know what else is in it, but it's $18.
Oh, it'd be nice if it had a little little squid on the side. You eat.
Oh yeah, like a little garnish. Yeah.
Yeah, why not?
I
Yeah,
mean,
that sounds.
I guess it's if this is supposed to be kind of like a fancy restaurant, then $18 in Las Vegas. I mean, that's still a really expensive drink, but okay, I get it.
It better be a good drink.
Better be
But
good.
Yeah, that's a Vegas
because
good
the
drink
theme itself
price.
is not going to make
Yeah.
it taste better.
All right, Squid Game. What else? Who's got another show?
Well, let's do an easy one. How about Stranger Things? What do they have? in
Stranger
that regard?
Things. The Mind Flayer, a bourbon drink.
Bourbon.
How much does that cost, Tom?
$24.
Oh,
Wow.
better be a good
But
drink.
it's going
I
to
could-
flay your mind
I
like
hope it
the
includes a
like the
bottle.
Upside Down does. Yeah.
I see.
You can get a bottle of Jim Beam for like $10.
Yeah.
What is happening there?
You could probably get a bottle of Jim Beam at the convenience store in the MGM Grand for less than $24.
Yeah, I mean,
Positive you can.
you're clearly paying for this
Yeah.
gimmick,
The
this thing.
experience.
You're
yeah.
paying the Hard Rock Cafe sort of price where you get to sit next to.
It's a novelty. It's you're having fun. Like we're gonna eat the sushi platter called the Grand Line Showboat, which is inspired
there's also
by One
a-
Piece, which I didn't watch.
glass onion, fried onion petals hors d'oeuvre.
Oh, I didn't realize they had was that
Basically the
Netflix
bloomin'
original?
onion, I'm guessing,
Yeah.
but for glass onion.
fried onion petals.
For the Knives Out sequel, yeah.
Yeah, bloomin' onion. I guess that's what a petal is. I was like, onion petal? What's a petal?
We get some
Yeah,
like
it's
cheap.
it's that Outback
yeah.
Steakhouse.
Can we get some like cheap prison food for Orange is the New Black or something like that?
Ooh, I don't see an Orange is the New Black on here. Too
That'd
far
be awesome.
back.
Can
Too
you
far back in the
imagine-
catalog.
You can imagine all the Orange is the New Black stuff sells out because it's the cheap food.
It's just cheap. Yeah,
They
it's
do
just
have
crappy
the-
food.
and no one's buying the Things bourbon drink.
It's just prison food.
They could just give you a neutral loaf, right? That's what they
Sure.
give you in
Right,
prison. When,
right.
Like if you don't eat the food,
and charge you
or you're
$20.
picking-
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is the Beverly Hills Cobb salad.
Oh,
They have the
Beverly Hills Cop.
Cop
Oh,
seafood.
got it. I was like, wait, is this the Beverly Hills Hillbillies?
No,
I thought it was like
is-
90210. I'm like, I don't remember them eating Cobb salads a lot.
Yeah. Or being a
the
Netflix show. for that
dessert
matter.
is lava. The floor is lava.
Oh,
show.
nice.
The dessert
So-
is lava, which
yeah.
is the molten chocolate cake, of course.
For $30.
I
It's
assume
gonna be the
that
best cake I've ever
I
had.
assume that feeds at least two. At least two.
Also,
I mean,
hope
again,
so.
it's like this is if you're in Vegas and you're at the Netflix.
you're doing this so you can tell the
pop-up.
story of how you
Yes.
did it.
Exactly. Like you might be, having a fun weekend where you go a little nuts, eat the lava cake.
Get the WWE Smash Burger.
Oh yeah.
I'd eat that. I like
How much is that?
$23.
$23.
23.
A bargain compared to some of these other prices.
I mean, a gourmet burger, if it's good.
Yeah.
I mean,
The
sometimes
Cobb
they're
salad's
like over
21
$20.
bucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cobb salad's $20. Okay.
Well,
Yeah.
there's meat. There's meat.
And that's the
Whenever we
vegan
have
option,
meat, the
Scott.
salads get expensive.
That's crazy. I mean, that's why it's a residency, though, too. Keep that in mind, I think, is that you
Yeah,
you
I mean,
expect this to be a
I'll say
premium thing.
when Stranger Things, when Netflix did a Stranger Things partnership with Baskin Robbins out here in LA, they did a lot of special ice cream dishes for it, and they were pricier than what they normally charge. But you went in there for like, ooh, I got to eat the whatever the Gorgon whatever ice cream. It was like an ice cream sundae that's shaped like the Gorgon's head. And you could say, "Hey, I ate it. It was the experience. It was experience." And then it was done. It's like, yeah, let's go get something cheaper.
It was for the experience, right? That's the interesting thing of what Netflix is doing is a lot of people are wondering if they're going to do like theme parks or even sections of theme parks like Warner Brothers does Harry Potter as part of Universal Studios. And later this year, Netflix is doing something closer to that, but it's still small. The Netflix houses that we talked about before in Dallas and Philadelphia. But it does seem like Netflix is taking smaller approaches, doing more smaller things. And in Las Vegas, you're now doing it in a place where more people are going to pass through because it's a tourist destination. And so I think this is... I wonder if this is how Netflix does things, right? They like, hey, we started a little streaming service. It's free. And then now that's the business, right? They don't even do the DVDs anymore. We're starting a little gaming thing. And you can see like, oh, they're starting to get bigger and bigger titles. They're building that up to be its own thing. We're starting a little restaurant just for a year, but I don't know. What does this lead to eventually? I wonder.
We have some good suggestions in our chat. Anything with Kevin Bacon. That one's from Zoe. Jahandar, House of Carbs.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, that's great. I mean, it's problematic. but
I
it's
think
great.
that would be a tough sell. People would be like, House of Carbs. I don't know. We're not trying to eat a whole house of carbs.
I mean, doesn't Vegas have that Heart Attack Cafe, or am I thinking of a
They
different?
do, yeah. It's down
Yeah.
on
Is that
what it's
but that's
called?
that's old Vegas, yeah. And there people have had heart attacks in there. It's ridiculous.
What?
That place. Oh yeah.
Well, it lives up to
They have really large burgers, like multi-patty burgers. And
Yeah,
stuff.
they make you wear a hospital gown in there, Sarah, for
What?
real. Yeah, oh yeah.
Really?
Yep.
Oh my
and you can
goodness.
and
This
you
is not
can
a
weigh
thing I've heard
yourself.
of before.
You can weigh yourself. It's down on Fremont
Before
next
and
time you're
after.
down there. You can
And
see
people
it.
have had heart attacks, and like that's
Yeah.
like a cool.
I mean, I
thing to
imagine
tout.
every restaurant that is open for any period of time has had some patron have a heart attack because people
Yeah.
have a
Yeah.
heart
But this one will make the news because it's at the Heart
'Cause
Attack
it's at
Cafe.
Vegas,
But
yeah.
Tom's totally right. There's a guy at probably the same night at the Denny's up the road had a coronary event. So who knows?
On social media, Ambassador Domo suggested they should do "Is it cake?" And then you don't know when you order it. If
if they did the British Bake Off, where you just get to eat whatever like the winning recipe is.
oh yeah, that's a no-brainer, isn't it? Yeah.
Oh, missed opportunity from Flavor Toothpaste, Netflix and chili.
Oh, gosh dang it, that's good. Man, your audience is killing
I would
it.
eat that.
What's
that
the
sounds
thing
great.
where you disguise yourself and you're dating and you don't know what each other looks like until the very end that they have on
I
Netflix?
don't know. What is a blind date?
Love is
Where you're
blind.
actually
Love
very
is
It's called
blind.
Love is blind. Yeah.
So what would you do?
Oh, it's a
Love
show,
is.
right,
I can't think of a
stats.
good pun though. Like
How about
yeah,
The appetizer is blind appetizer.
it'd have to be like something is blind or.
no one cares if the appetizer can't see?
Good taste
Love
is
is
blind.
bland. It's the meal for people who are controlling their salt.
Low
I
sodium.
know.
Low
I know what
sodium.
it is. Love is rind, but then you just give them that part of the watermelon.
It's
you don't
like a
give 'em
fromage plate.
So it's
Yeah.
just so they don't waste the fruit. They give you the orange
See?
rind, the lemon rind.
Yeah, every
Nailed it.
part of the orange. We also had a
think-
couple of snotty comments on social media. Ian said, your meal is canceled after the first course.
Oh,
What if they raised your price of the meal before you
Yeah.
left? You got to hurry up and get out of there.
they
And then
no,
Brian
you
said-
pay.
Brian said, clearly a tapas restaurant, one where if you really like the dish and try to order a second serving, they close the kitchen.
Oh man, That's pretty good. Yeah, it's easy to get snarky with it. And I also know some people balk at this because they think, well, they just raised my prices. This is what they're doing with my money. It's like an easy thing to do and go down the road of. But I like it. I think it's
actually
great.
responded to somebody who was like, so this is what they're doing with my money. I'm like, no, they're charging you for the food. They didn't take the subscriptions and didn't just give restaurant away.
Yeah,
they're charging
on top
a
of
lot
your
for the
existing
food.
subscription.
Yeah.
I think it's telling that it is a residency, and they don't. I mean, maybe they could make it a longer term thing, but I think a lot of themed restaurants, especially like Planet Hollywood's, Hard Rock Cafe, and there's like a half a dozen others that I don't remember because they all went out of business. But it's a tough business. Being in a restaurant is a tough business, and if you're going to be there for 20, 30 years. You got to keep things fresh, right?
Yeah,
so,
there has to be a reason people have to go, and the novelty will wear off on this.
Yeah.
I think that's what they're recognizing is after a year of, new people coming through Vegas all the time, but once we've been here for a year, then we may not get the repeats that we want.
And I'm 100% going there in April. I'm going to see it, whether it's just to walk in there and look around, or if I actually get seated and eat something, probably split a burger with somebody. Like I want to have this experience. So I don't think they're wrong in then assuming that there's going to be a lot of people just curious about eating.
Just
in
want
a
to
Netflix
try it
place.
out. Yep. And the food's got to be good or it'll tank in a month because everybody will complain about how bad it is. So
It's hard to tell from the photos, but I wonder if they're going to be showing Netflix like content all over.
Oh,
the
they
place.
should. That makes sense, right? Yeah. Why wouldn't they?
The food needs to be competent. It doesn't need to be out of this world, but it just people need to feel. Yeah. I paid
Well,
$23
thanks
for
to
this.
those who had some fun picking drink titles with us. If you have feedback about anything we talk about on the show, you can get in touch with us a variety of ways, but on the socials is one way to do it. DTNS Show on X, on Instagram, on Threads, on Blue Sky, on Mastodon, and for TikTok and YouTube, you can find us at Daily Tech News Show. All right, Scott Johnson, what's going on with ESA, and are they bringing E3 back?
Well, if you haven't heard of the ESA before, they were the organization that put on the E3 show every year since 1995, and then recently decided to can the whole thing. The pandemic was probably the worst part of that story and really messed them up. And also other things sort of stepped in and took on a role that was kind of E3-like and kind of ended up gutting the thing. So we thought they were maybe donezo. They're not. There's talk of a 2.0. They're doing what they're calling the Interactive Innovative Conference, known as ICON, IICON. There's two I's in that.
Icon.
I don't know if I like it. I'm still undecided. I mean, one's a square dot, one's a circle dot. Whatever, it's fine. It looks like a goof, but whatever. Scheduled to take place at the Fontainebleau Resort in Las Vegas, speaking of Las Vegas. And it's a fairly new resort. It's actually a renovated space that is one of the most expensive places to be. It's a very nice resort hotel. This is happening April 27th through April 30th of 2026. So not this year, but next year. They need time. ESA President Stanley Pierre-Louis said of the conference, quote, "With ICON, we are creating a space for visionaries across industries to come together, connect, and reimagine what's possible through interactive entertainment." There are some companies interested in being a part of this. This would include Electronic Arts, Epic Entertainment, or Epic Games, Microsoft, of course, there with the Xbox brand, Nintendo, Sony Interactive Entertainment, Square, Enix, Take-Two Interactive, Ubisoft, Warner Brothers, and possibly more. Those are big names. In fact, I would argue those are the biggest names in the business in terms of the largest publishers and the most collective developer companies. So I think what they're trying to do is carve a new path toward a gaming conference that doesn't necessarily replicate E3. I think those days are gone. E3 was kind of an everything to everyone to a degree. You couldn't just go to every E3 as a gamer. It was mostly for industry types. So, you're playing to buyers at Walmart, buyers at Target, international corporations that are looking to see what you've got cooking and whether they want to carry it or not. Traditionally, that's who the audience was. And then we would benefit from hearing about it or seeing it either in magazines or other methods. And then later with the internet, we would hear about it that way. But therein lies the rub. The internet came along and very quickly, around 2018 through about 2022, became the place where we decided we're cool to see all this stuff. We kind of don't need your conference anymore. And you might say, well, Scott, right now GDC is going on. the Game Developers Conference in San Francisco has been going on for a long time. Yes, it has a very focused reason to exist and will continue to exist in that way. And you could say, well, Jeff Keighley's got the Game Awards every year, and he's got the Summerfest happening, and those kind of do this sort of thing. And I said, yeah, that part of E3, the bombastic, here's our new announcements, here's our stage presentation stuff, has a home now. And it's happening for all of us, not just industry insiders, but consumers of the content. So my take is this is going to be a much more focused event. It's invite only, so you can't just have anybody go. I can't get in line and just show up. You're going to have to be invited to go to this thing. I mean, whether they expand that or not, we'll see. They got a year. And I think it's a chance for the industry to showcase things in maybe a slightly different way. Now, what that way is, I don't exactly know because, like I say, a lot of this ground has been covered. The PAXs of the world still remain like the fan part, right? The fans flock to those things. And they're not going to be doing that. But they have these people, they have all of these companies saying they want to go. It's focused around this one hotel convention, which is not the same as a CES or even E3s in the past where they're kind of spread around the city. So that means it's smaller. And they got 2 eyes and icon. Who knows what that means? I don't know. Like the big takeaway for me is this is exciting. This is actually a really good thing. There's a lot of, in my circles, a lot of people going, the ESA, just let the dying horse die or whatever. I don't know. I think we can always use, new attempts to have these events. And I think these events are good for us as players and people who cover the content.
The 2 eyes, I think, stand for the interactive and innovation part of the conference name. So I
still annoying.
Yeah, no, he said that. We're just
still
joking.
Yeah. It's interesting though. Like, what online component will it include? Because that's also really key here. One of the reasons E3 lost their footing is they were not agile enough to understand what the internet was really going to do to their model. And so they're going to need some aspect of this that is very online focused. My guess is that part will be very fan focused. And then what's happening on the ground in Vegas in the conference is very business, backroom, deal making conference focused, which is kind of missing since E3 went away. That part hasn't really been replicated. It still happens, but it doesn't happen like it used to. That's what I want to know is
how is this different from E3? Like, except that all the people that stopped going to E3 are going to show up, like Microsoft and et cetera. But like, what is the actual difference? In fact, do you remember 10 years ago now, they said we're scaling E3 back and we're just going to hold it in a hotel? Like, that's basically this. I want to know from somebody who's in on the ground floor, feedback at dailytechnewsshow.com, what was it about the old E3 that made them have to just burn the earth, scorched earth policy, cancel it, and then resurrect it with the stuff that worked, that actually got these companies to come back to it?
Well, a big part of it was...
when you look at the list of companies that have said they're participating, it's like, okay, these are the big companies. So
E3 was...
You figure they've they're either just hedging bets or... They feel confident that whatever was wrong with E3 isn't going to be replicated.
The problem with E3, at least from the floor perspective, it was just getting out of control in terms of the cost of the booth and all the money that you were spending on.
But to my point, they did that one where they're like, great, let's get rid of all that. They did it for a year, and then everybody's like, no, let's go back to the big floor. Like, why? Why didn't they stick with this exact idea from the sound of
like
it?
One of the problems is big publishers like Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo, who have all separately at different times pulled out of the conference, and given reasons like Roger was just saying, like, oh, the booths are too much for the return we get, or this isn't fan-facing enough, or whatever their reasons were at the time. And there were a few things like that said by various corporations. I think the reason it fell apart is because at the time that they were accomplishing that kind of forward-facing access to players and the hype machine by doing their own directs. If anything, Nintendo kind of pioneered this for everybody, but doing their own directs so that people could log into Twitch or YouTube and watch a live stream and hear about all the cool stuff coming in this quarter or this year or this half year or whatever it is. And that really stuck. And the pandemic really hammered it home because that was the only way for a while there we were going to get that information. And it turns out that is a micron of the expense to do that and to put on one of those presentations. So Microsoft's got 2 in the month of February. They've already done one. They got one more coming up on the 25th. Sony's got one planned for, I think, next week, or maybe it's today, actually.
Today.
It is today.
Yeah.
These events coming faster and more quickly and all that, but it's partly because the cost is almost nothing for them to do this. And they have a equal benefit by doing it this way than they had the old way. It's just analog to digital, in my opinion, and they weren't ready for the switch. So Tom's original question, back to your question, how is this different? What will make it different? They're going to have to prove that out. I don't have a good answer for this. Because
it feels like a branding issue.
Like, you get like the carpet store that goes out of business and then they rebrand and it's a new store.
Right.
But like
the brand is tainted. Everyone's like,
whole time.
Ooh. Carpet World, that's not good. I heard that's bad. Carpet Land, that's brand new. I'll go there, right? This is 2 I's, not 3 E's. It's an entirely different thing.
Yeah, it feels like at the very least, why not try?
But I think the advantage is this: like if there's so many gaming conventions throughout the year, whether it's an industry one or if it's a fan based one like PAX, where the publishers can do whatever they want with those. I think with this, the ESA is like we don't need a fan-facing show.
Yeah, I know. They already said that before. Yeah. That's my question. Is like, why is it this time everyone's like, oh yeah, you're right, versus the other times they said the exact same thing?
What if this is less, Roger? What if this is less for press because they were always for
that's
heavily for press before? This time it's just. You know what's missing? You go to FanFest or you listen to Keeley get up and give awards. You know what's not happening? Deals aren't happening.
Yeah, no. This is the back end of what CES does. People think CES is just a press show, but it's a trade show. So Best Buy can talk to a bunch of vendors. Hey, I'm going to buy X amount of your TVs. It looks great. I think we'll sell X amount of units. Yeah. This is just business, and they don't need to have that like super sexy show that like attracts the gamers, because all they want to do is have a place where Microsoft can talk to X developers. Hey, do you guys want to make a game for our platform?
I'll be curious if they can resist letting the press come though.
And more importantly,
Agreed.
I think everyone's coming just to see what's there. Like when you come into an open house, like I'm.
But what's there. Because you've been there before.
It's also a lot harder to keep. There's not a lot of secrets left. Everything gets talked about online. So Tom's right. They're going to have press there, but it'll be like the guy from The Verge, the dude from Polygon, the lady from Wired. They're going to keep it real exclusive, in my opinion. They're not going to let a bunch of
like
podcasters.
A developers conference is versus a product announcement.
Yeah, they're not going to let me and my core co-hosts in there. We're not going to go. I mean, I would go, but they're not going to let us.
Hey, don't sell yourself short, Scott.
Well, I just like to keep the expectations low, and then maybe they'll blow my mind.
You see, my face is on this badge. Let me in.
I printed it myself.
Well, we do have some more news from Apple in the show today, but we're not talking health and fitness this time, unless you're talking about robots exercising. Roger, what is the latest?
So Ming-Chi Kuo posted on X that Apple is still in the early stages of developing robots, both humanoid and non-humanoid, to add to its smart home ecosystem. Now, the company in this post, Kuo, emphasized that Apple is focusing on user perception of the robot over the actual physical form, so how people relate to that hardware. Kuo also wants to emphasize that this is still in the proof of concept stage, and that in Apple's histories, many products have actually never gone beyond the proof of concept stage, much like the Apple Car. So there isn't really a hard date for anything, but in his estimate, if there was going to be a product that comes out of this for mass production, it would have to come sometime after 2028. But my question to you all is, all right, say Apple does make an Apple robot. What would you like it to do? And more importantly, what do you think it'll actually end up looking like? Because everyone is I was super excited about the Amazon Astro robot, and it ended up being sort of a rolling tablet, at least when my kids were using it. It was just a mobile tablet.
I mean, what I would want, but it would be. I think I know what I want. I want something that's actually. I don't have a lot of confidence in this, but I'll tell you what I want, and then I'll quit trying to think of what's actually going to happen. Because what probably will happen will be a little disappointing. But I would like something that's smart enough to wander around the house and go, beep, and tell my watch the dog barfed. I'm in the living room. Okay, I'll be over there in a second, and I'll go take care of it.
Do you need a robot for that though? That could just be cameras.
It can be. This is where I snag. Every time I think of something cool, I go, you know what? There's other ways.
What do we need that moves?
Yeah.
Right. Because you think like, that's just another body. You know?
Maybe the robot could clean up the dog barf, and then we're talking. But if we're not, but I don't think we're talking about that. We're never. Yeah. This isn't going to be a device that's so good at all that it's actually. I'll take care of it and mow the lawn. It isn't doing that.
I like the leak that says they're working on a device that turns the screen towards you, like smart display that turns the screen toward you. But that's not this. This is beyond that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and
the research from the Apple machine learning research website, I don't know if some of you saw this last week, but it was like a lamp that was dancing to music next to a human. And it's like, why would you ever want that? I mean, probably nobody, but proof of concept stuff right now.
But
it could be fun, like a fun aspect of stuff. That's there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've got smart lights in my house that can follow along with the audio.
Toys.
I never use them. But yeah.
Well, if you watch the video, it kind of zeroes in on what Ko was talking about with the robot having emphasizing the user perception of the robot. And if you look at it, it sort of looks like, what was it, Luxo Jr. from Pixar, the little mascot, the little lamp mascot.
Oh yeah.
And so
that's on purpose, I'm sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But the idea, of course, is that you relate to it not so much as a machine, but like as a personality. So, whether or not it is just a simple thing that moves one object from one place to another, or it can interact with you in a more, as you see in the video, expressive way, which would be kind of cool because I think people would sort of glom onto that toy / companion aspect of it, especially if they integrate, Siri or whatever voice assistant into it, so it becomes a little more fleshed out.
What's stuff that we have to move around ourselves that we would be like, oh, it'd be nice if it just kind of watched and moved? Like, I don't know, desks that can go up and down automatically, standing desk kind of thing, or keyboards that can roll towards you when you sit down.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just coming up with stuff.
It's so hard to pull a keyboard. I know.
That's always the thing we say until we get this stuff.
Don't need
and then
it.
we're like, oh, actually, it's pretty cool.
I was trying to think of what I would want the most, and I'm sure I'm missing a lot of really great robot ideas. But in the kitchen, if there was some sort of arm, not unlike my mic, which is attached to the wall next to me, so it's up and off the desk, it's off the floor, so it's kind of floating. If there was some sort of smart chopping, knife robot.
I'm with you. Yeah.
Because
some kind of robotic prep thing.
A robot. Yeah. It's like something that I could do it, but I'm not good with knives. Every time I see a cooking show, I'm like, why are they so good at that? I can't.
Yeah. How do they not chop their fingers off?
And it's also dangerous, right?
Yeah.
We've all cut ourselves in the kitchen. I would just prefer to not get better at it. Have the robot do it.
And I was thinking it wouldn't just be one. Maybe if you bought a set, there's 3. You put one in the kitchen, you put one in the living room, put one in the bedroom, and then like when you're out, it's like, hey, can you just make sure I closed the refrigerator? I turned off the stove.
Not the knife chopping in the bedroom.
Oh no, not the knife chopping.
Okay.
I mean, perhaps someone might find a need for that, but
we're not going to judge.
It's between you and your bedroom.
But like, I mean, because as a security camera, if the head was also a security camera and it's on an armature, it would have a lot more flexibility than if you just had a physically located. But
but that was Amazon's thing with the drone. Remember that would fly around when you weren't there and keep watch, and that went nowhere. Nobody wanted it.
Yeah, no one wants a floaty thing in the house.
It's also expensive.
But if you just had something that, a robot that, let's say it is.
But apparently nobody wants a robot because that was what Astro was.
I know, but not a rolling robot. So the robot
can't fly, can't roll. What's it supposed to do?
It can be easily moved from one location to another, right?
You have to move it yourself. Then it's not a robot. That's just a camera.
No. The whole arm thing moves like the lamp. It's not just the one piece. You pick the whole thing up, and then you have a thing.
I don't know, man. Okay.
That's the thing. We're going to have to invent use cases. Itself. We have to invent use cases because they haven't talked about it, so we don't know what Apple's going to say. But they haven't tried to sell us anything yet. When they do, maybe we'll be convinced. But right now,
we don't know what we want until Apple invents it. That's always the way.
Well,
I know.
Steals it.
I know. You put it on your nightstand, and it's like it has like a 4-foot reach, like arm, and it can wake you up if you like had a late night of partying and you have to get to work. It just pokes you in the face or something.
But my watch does that now. It'll go and rub my arm.
But
when
it
I
would
gotta
like
do things.
how often do you just sort of feel it and they ignore it?
How many people would prefer to be prodded awake versus an
Yeah,
alarm?
you know,
But some people
alarm on
only
my
wake when they're
iPhone,
prodded.
not good
Right?
enough.
True. That's true.
I need someone to slap me across the face.
Oh, that's a good one. Like if you make a stupid suggestion, the arm just goes smack. Like no. Maybe
Apple's
I should sell my
judgy
house.
smart robot. Yeah. Yeah. I think this is the tablet problem, and maybe Apple will solve it. But like for the longest time, people were like, "Yeah, tablet computers, they're kind of impressive, but what would we need it for?" And it wasn't until the iPad came out, for whatever reason, that people started to figure out what they needed it for. So maybe Apple just needs to put something out, and then we start figuring out like, oh, it's good for this, it's good for that, which is kind of what they did with the Apple Watch, and it's paid off.
Or the Vision Pro, for that matter, which has
Which has
less
not yet
paid
paid
off.
off.
Exactly, but there's a chance, right? Like there's.
But it's still only a year old. So
It's like Netflix restaurants. Try it and see what happens.
yeah, and charge me
maybe.
$23 for a Cobb salad.
That's right.
You
Might
know what
not
we
be
should
here
try?
next year.
What's that?
Since we've gotten all our jokes out, we should try reading the mailbag.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Good idea.
Thank you, Barbara, for sending us an email about our conversation on Jeep's in-car pop-up issue that we talked about on Tuesday. Barbara writes, in DTNS Live 4954, the team discussed pop-up messages from Jeep that would keep coming back. While I agree that Jeep responded to the software glitch, the problem I see was not addressed. My concern is, what will Jeep or other car companies do with this ability in the future? Will I start getting ads for stores as I drive by? What are the rules for the company to decide what I will see in my car? Unless it is a safety issue or a maintenance issue, I don't want the manufacturer hijacking my vehicle. The what's next is what concerns me.
Yep.
I sort of touched on this, or at least I tried to, which is we've had this capability for a long time. And in fact, I think people in our Discord were pointing out that Waze tried putting some pop-up ads on its display for a while and then got rid of it. So you can always, the capability isn't new, right? This is the first big situation where it's caused a problem. So your answer may be that this capability has been around for a while and there haven't been many instances where it wasn't used properly. And in one case with Waze, it actually didn't go well, so they stopped doing it. So hopefully that's your answer, Barbara.
Yep.
Also got another email from Andrew, who had a personal anecdote about YouTube being the main draw in the living room. We talked about this on yesterday's show as well. Andrew says, when I was a kid, my dad recorded episodes of The Simpsons on VHS. I loved this because I could watch them anytime and for hours. When I got older, I started to buy and rip DVDs to get a similar experience. Andrew says, when my kids were born, I thought it would be great for them. Thousands of movies and TV shows on an NAS. When they showed interest in a newer show, I'd TiVo it, I'd rip it, I'd remove the commercials. This worked until COVID. During COVID, I'd watch YouTube on my TV when I needed to kill 5 or 10 minutes. My kids were immediately hooked. Now all they watch on our TV is YouTube.
Yeah, I like how Andrew was like, I still am recording episodes of shows. They don't watch them anymore, but I still record them. Yeah, it's
you're
another
dedicated.
example of kids loving YouTube.
My daughter's daughter loves Miss Rachel, and that started on YouTube. Still is massive on YouTube, and
Yeah.
now she's got to deal with Netflix.
Yep.
She can't understand that we want to switch over there and watch it there. She's like, a 3-year-old knows to stay on YouTube, and
She's like,
that's
no,
where it
Miss
is.
Rachel is on YouTube. Why would I
And
go
she
on-
knows
why
it's
would I-
endless. She knows there's no end to it. It's just
Yeah.
thousands of videos, and she just stay there, and it'll never go away. Where she knows over on Netflix, they've got a limited quote unquote first season, and it's not quite the same. And
There's
it's weird.
A 3-year-old girl telling you like, and they'll constantly raise their prices, and they crack down on password sharing.
Yeah.
And, I mean, and that's the thing about YouTube. It's like the never-ending waterfall of content, as opposed to like you got your seasonal blocks in Netflix that end, which is good.
I mean,
for
Netflix
adults,
is a
but-
never-ending waterfall of content. Also,
That's true.
it
Yeah,
just
but
isn't packaged up the same way. It's just
Yeah.
they don't make it
Well,
as easy.
it's there's a different metaphor for it that
Yeah,
older
yeah.
people would understand that younger people would not appreciate.
Yeah.
Well, thank you to Andrew and also Barbara for writing in. Remember, you can send us your comments. We'd love to hear them. Feedback at dailytechnewsshow.com. Thank you to you, Scott Johnson. You email us every week saying, yes, I'll be on the show Wednesday.
Yeah, it's true. I'm always willing to commit, ready to go.
Yeah, no, it's great. So what else do you got cooking?
Well, as a show, I don't talk about that much on here, which is funny because we do talk about games preservation. And last week we had a whole discussion on magazines and stuff from the 90s and aughts covering video games. And I never mentioned that I host a show called Play Retro, which is all about retro gaming, the whole point of it. So we cover all kinds of stuff from, GBA games to early PlayStation titles, all the way back to the 80s when things were really at their proto level and arcades and beyond. So if any of that sounds like fun, join me and my co-host Brian Dunaway each and every week at frogpants.com/playretro or get it wherever you get your shows.
During the show, we ask people to submit titles because our brains are tired. We spend all day looking at tech news, figuring out discussions to have around them. And then when it gets to time to name the show, we're beat. Thankfully, our audience is here to pick us up. DTNS.showbot.tv is where the folks in our Twitch, our YouTube, our Discord go to look at titles, submit titles, and vote on them. The top vote getter right now is from Batfink 2001, Netflix and Grill.
Netflix and Grill.
Yep. We also have CPOT's 50 DOGE security concerns. Larry in Atlanta, flay your mind and the rest will follow. Fred 819 with breach blanket bingo.
Nice. I get it.
The Stoic Man with I consent. I get it. Like it's the Apple thing with the health stuff. Yeah.
Sure.
GPEG 84 with an Apple certified health study. G. James B suggests that ESA's new conference should be Aye, Con.
That's funny.
I like it.
Yeah. The Stoic Man with drinks not included in subscription, which is the disclaimer when you go into the Netflix restaurant.
I liked the comment we got earlier in the show. So that's why they keep raising prices.
I know,
No,
right?
You still have to pay $18 for that bourbon.
Pretty sure that's not why, but okay. What did we end up going with, Sarah?
We went with Netflix and Grill from Batfink.
Good
We
one.
just couldn't. Netflix and Chili. I enjoyed that one too, but it wasn't officially submitted. So you got to do Showbot if you wanna title our show.
Big thanks to everyone who supports us on YouTube. No super chats today, but we have got them in the past, and we very much appreciate them. Also, thanks to the folks watching us on LinkedIn, folks on Twitch cheering us with some bits. Thank you, PC Milesy. Anthony Maimed 1800 gave us a follow. More bits from Pele Glendale, Zoe Brings Bacon, and Technomensch. And Wildcat1 resubscribed for the 58th month. And then last night during Android Faithful, I think on-screen celebration was had. We haven't had an on-screen celebration. Now I'm jealous of Ron. Thank you for that. The Pack NW Fallstar. Hey, folks, you're the best. Thank you for supporting us in all the different ways, including patreon.com/DTNS.
Behind the Data, another show we really like, and we think you'll like it too. It's hosted by data scientist Andrea Jones-Roy. She's always great when she comes on DTNS Live with us, and it examines what data sets say about everything that's happening in the world. Politics, health, and most importantly, why. Season 2 is currently in production, starting soon. Check it out and get subscribed at BehindTheDataShow.com. Just a reminder, we do this show live Monday through Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern, 2100 UTC. You can find out more at dailytechnewsshow.com/live. Thanks to everybody who watches live. It's fun to have you. We're back doing it all again tomorrow with Will Smith talking about the state of the GPU market and where we are. Talk to you then.
The DTNS family of podcasts, helping each other understand.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.